All right, let's see. So I got Molly here. We did a door thing this morning, and I was probably on my C- game. So what I try to do, there's a lot of different stuff that works for different people and different dogs, right? And so I try to give a lot of solutions for people like the lady I'm making this movie for. And when I go to people's houses, right? I try to see what works. I try to throw a couple things, like throwing spaghetti at the wall, right? Try different things that I've seen people do that who knows if it works or not, but they're doing it, so it must work for at least some of their dogs. So let's see, we have a 6-month overexcited heeler dog greeting people. So what I talked about this morning was the standing on the leash, which is kind of a self-correction, which I like for the younger dogs. I don't like correcting, like say she was gonna jump at somebody, she's 1.5 years old, if she's been practicing it for a long time, I would say that self-correction might not work. You might have to actually really correct. So when they would go to jump, as soon as they start to jump, bam, to the side, right? You gotta lean down and go bam to the side because you're going for shoulder length with them, leash correction to the side. And then they wanna start avoiding that. Then all of a sudden they sit down and they look at you like this. Now we can reward, right? So sometimes we have to correct to get there. However, the dog with these people is a 6-month-old puppy. So I would prefer preventing or putting up, right? So you can start when people come, put the dog in the crate till all the energy of the people calms down, and then bring the dog out, right? So you're preventing any kind of excitement. However, I feel like that's not really working on the situation. But maybe a 6-month-old puppy, you have to wait till they get a little bit older and less energetic, right? So let the energy of the room, all the, hey, how you doing, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff, because you get all that going on, the puppy's gonna jack up, right? Because they're gonna follow our energy and the energy of the room. All right, so that's that part of it. So anyways, for the dog, for these people, I would say personally, unless it's a real safety thing, I prefer getting some knowledge in there. So we're going to use this. So distance is usually a friend to you for excitement, right? The doors. We're going to say this. I don't know how your house is set up. A lot of people have carpet up to a certain point, and then it's tile to the door, right? So you would have the dog. And here's the other thing that I forgot to say, because she was doing really good. She was doing really good sitting. So a lot of times with excitement, you need negative reinforcement, right? So when you're working with the dog, you go sit, right? So you do your lure with a little bit of pressure, right? Break, sit, good, right? As soon as the butt hits the ground, the pressure of the collar comes off and you give the food, right? Break, sit, lure, and pressure. Butt hits the ground, pressure comes off, and you give the food, right? So that's getting the sits. And the reason you want to do that sometimes in a luring session is so they're used to the pressure, right? Because if you start using, right, so with excitement, a lot of times you have to use leash pressure depending on how fast you want to go, right? So there's going to be a couple options here. So here it is, somebody's coming, they get to the door, you get right here and you go, ready, sit. So she's not going to, good. Now you can reward that if you want to, right? The person can come in, say she breaks it, you go, nope, leash pressure, sit. Don't tell them to sit again, you just go, nope, and leash pressure, right? So break, like this. As soon as the butt hits the ground, the pressure comes off. Break, right? So here's another thing. What you can do is, right, so that's gonna happen, you know, the person comes in the door, that might happen 10 times. Ready, sit. So now the person comes in the door, there's a couple different things you can do. You can take like 10, 15 pieces of food. A lot of times in excitement, in an excited state, the food they're not gonna care about, right? So this girl, she's insecure and she kind of doesn't like people, right? So food coming from the visitor can be a good thing. The hard part is when they're excited and we throw food down, if it's not a bunch of food and it doesn't take them time to eat it, like if you throw 2 or 3 pieces of food down, we're in my opinion, we're rewarding that state of mind because it's not taking enough time, right? So see, she's getting antsy. 1, 2, 3, right? She settles down. Then the person can then go, okay, and you throw 10 to 15 pieces of food away from the door. So we want the dog to back away from the door because your dog's excited at the door, and it needs to take a few seconds. So if it's 2 or 3 pieces of food or 2 or 3 treats, the dog is still in that excited state of mind. More than likely it's taking the food and being like, I gotta get back to the door, gotta get back to the door. So you're food not only rewards the position, it rewards the state of mind, right? So say I told her to sit and she sits, and this is what she does a lot. If she does a lot of this, I can mark it because she sat. I can't give the food until she does this. And whenever she does that, I always count to 3. 1, 2, 3, and I'll give the food. The mark is what matters. The mark for the sit matters. And then when you give the reward matters, right? If they're sitting, they're doing this kind of thing, and you give them food, well, you're rewarding this because you're rewarding the state of mind. Yeah, her butt's on the ground and she's technically in a sit, but her state of mind is go, 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 right? So that's if you can get people to do it, right? Are people gonna take 15 pieces of food and throw it for the dog to go away from them, right? If not, then it's fine for you to do it, right? So she's sitting, the person comes in, let's say she breaks, right? Nope, and then make her sit again, right? She finally settles down, the person is still at the door, you can go, okay, and you can have her go back. You can do either way, right? The key is it has to be enough food to take her mind off the door. So it has to be, I would say, at least 15 pieces of food, because it needs to take at least 15, 20, 30 seconds. And then let's say we try that and she's just like, oh, I just got to go right back. Well, then now it's not working, right? So the other thing, but if this works, this is amazing, especially for a 6-month-old puppy. This might be the perfect thing, right? A lot of stuff for young puppies, and it depends on how long they've practiced doing what you don't like them to do. The other thing you can do is you can go sit, right? And then you take your hand and you go, say hi, and have her come to your hand, right? And give her food, right? So you practice this without the people. Sit, good, say hi. They're gonna go to your food, right? So first you do it with you in a couple times a session, then you bring her over to the door, come on. Then you bring her to your door space, sit, she's doing amazing, and say, the husband or the kids come in. You're gonna do it with your family first. You gotta get reps with people she knows, and because visitors are novel things, so it's always gonna be a heightened sense of excitement, right? So now you have the family come in. She stays in her sit. You go, say hi. She's gonna touch your hand, and then now it's a reward, right? So first you start with a couple pieces of food in your hand, then it turns into a reward. Say hi. Good, right? Now, I haven't done this, but I've obviously done a lot of food stuff with her, so she's almost always going to go to my food, right? So now you got her in a sit, the people come in, and instead of being, oh, look at the puppy, you need to have the people put their hand like this. Okay, good, right? And she needs to calm down, right? Or he, right? Yours is a boy. So he's in a sit, the people come in, they stand there, they ignore the person, they talk to you in a normal, calm tone like this. Every time the dog gets up to go say hi, nope, and leash pressure. Has to sit back down, right? Say she gets up, nope, right? She shouldn't move with my movement. She knows to not move, right? Nope, right? As soon as the butt hits, pressure comes off, right? Break, right? That might have been kind of unfair because I didn't tell her to sit. She was just sitting, right? So that's your other things. You have throwing food on the ground. You have say hi. Good girl. We'll take that, right? I was looking for the nose touch, but hey, she wants to give me a shake, I give it to her. That's more polite than jumping, right? So it's negative reinforcement and positive reinforcement combined together, right? So ideally the positive reinforcement part of it works, right? But what if your dog is so excited she don't care about the food that you throw back there? Now she's super food motivated, and it's PM, so she's been super exercised. That's the other important part, right? Say hi. Good, right? Got to touch your hand to get the food. So first it starts with the food in the hand, and then it turns to a reward. She touches it. Good. I kind of faked that one. Kind of faked that one, didn't I? Right? But the important part is you don't break her from the sit until, I was hoping she'd show a little bit of that earlier, but she was doing really good, because she does this a lot, especially in play, is she'll be sitting there and her brain is so ready to go, right? You just got to wait till they settle down. 1, 2, 3. So say she's excited with the person, you just keep putting them in that sit. Keep putting them in that sit. Keep putting them in that sit. When he sits there, calm, 1, 2, 3, and that's going to take, it might take a long time for the first few people, right? And then it gets better and better. Okay, right? And then the other one you can do is did I say this yet? Put him in the crate. He's in the crate. Once the energy of the room calms down, then bring him out, still on a leash, right? And I would do the same thing. I had one person when I first started. This distance, there was no way. Like it was like maybe 7 foot. Like for the people to come in and close the door, you want it to be at least a good 5 foot to start with. You might need a lot more. I had somebody where I had to go all the way across the living room, and this is before I was into leash pressure. It's when I didn't know about leash pressure, right? Because I was taught, oh, just give the food. The problem with the excitement is sometimes that doesn't work. We got a kitty cat over there. Oh, good girl. And sometimes people don't want to stand on the other side of the living room and then take 2 steps up and then have to keep, right? So you can put them up until the energy. So let's see. Sit. She's not sitting. Leash pressure. Off. See how she's looking at the kitty cat. Good, right? And usually for stuff like that, I do movement break and have them come back this way. That's another thing you can do. I've never seen this at the door. It's kind of something we do for reactivity, right? You're standing at the door, is excited. 1 piece of food, 2 pieces of food, 3 pieces of food. When they don't care about the door, now we can go back to the door. I don't know that that's a good strategy for the door, right? It could be, because it's a lot of movement. You want the door to be more calmer, but it could help because you're having him disengage from the people, right? And so maybe it's a strategy, right? Something to think about. I would try the food on the ground first for the age that he is. And then also be working on the say hi, because this could be something that you want as an adult, right? It's all what's going to work, what works for your dog, and what are you guys going to do, right? Nothing works if we don't do it right. And sometimes multiple strategies is the way to go. And ideally, if we can prevent having to do corrections, especially at that age. I think I'm starting to go in circles again. That's what I do. My brain goes in circles. Hi, girl. All right, let's go put you up, get my other walk done. I think I tried to be more preventative on this one. The one I did earlier is kind of faster, right? It's you put the dog in a sit. I didn't talk about the sit part of it though. And you stand on the leash, and then if the dog jumps up, right, and you hold it like this, you don't want any pressure right here. You want it just so the dog can barely jump up, and they're going to hit the leash by themselves. And you're going to hear all kinds of people say stupid stuff. Oh my God, his neck, blah, blah, blah. When they jump, it's hitting into the muscle of their neck, right? It's hitting to the muscles in the shoulders, and it's just them doing it. And then they settle down, and then you can still do the break and say hi. So that's what I call a self-correct, right? They're doing it themselves because they're acting like a nut job. But eventually they learn to be much calmer, right? Okay, whatever, dude. I think I did okay. I'm not real good at these instructional videos because my brain needs an actual person to bounce off of. At least that's what I say anyways, huh, Molly? What, is that light weird you out, huh? You never had to do with a light before.